that I can tell you about what the shifts are until we get a little bit further with the interview, Nicholas. I mean, you can ask me some questions, but you're going to have to ask some very deep questions if that's all right with you, because there's been some massive shifts that I've seen, and it's not just in Hampshire. It actually spreads. It's like it actually extends to all the shires, going up towards Yorkshire and down to Devonshire, and it actually expands across the universe. So there's a lot of big changes going on. I mean, after 30 years in the scene, you can imagine what I've got to tell you.
Well, let's talk about it, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen,
really?
and let's talk about it. Everybody, please. This is a very, very, very special episode of Your Kinky Friends. This is the third episode with the magnificent, the legendary Madame C. This person is a force in community, a force in my life. I'll say this right now. I'm alive because of the energy of this woman. Knowing this woman, I'm proud to be friends with her. I'm proud to know her. I'm proud to see her. When I was in the hospital watching her on just on the internet, on her website, on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever, and before that, before I knew her, she was an inspiration, and she still is an inspiration. If you're in the kink community, bow down, show utmost respect, and just bask in the awe of the beauty of Madame C. Once again, I must say, this is for adults. We are consenting adults. This is for adults, by adults, for adults, by adults. Don't judge. Piety and being judgy is a very ugly quality. It's bad energy. It's bad. Don't judge. Open your mind. Be cool. And now, everybody, we are honored to have Madame C. How are you?
Thank you, Nicholas. Wow, that was some intro. That was some intro. Thank you so much. And likewise, I too am very privileged to be back in your company because we've had some great chats. You know, I'm looking back over the years, I think it might be 2019 onwards. We've had some amazing chats, and you know, I think it's really important to share on a global level. I mean, you're on one side of the pond, I'm on the other side of the pond. Let's get together, let's see what comes out of it, and let's share some great stuff of how everything's changing. And I don't think just in the kink world, but also globally, because I think both have an impact on each other. What do you think, Nicholas?
I definitely do. And that is
Yeah.
goes to the next question. What's inspiring you these days? Are these
Oh my
changes inspiring you these days? What is inspiring you these days,
much,
Madame C?
so much. I mean, we've got limited time today, Nicholas. So you know that incredible question that we've got. What is inspiring me today? It's many, many things. It's from the top down and the bottom up. So what's inspiring me right now is I'm really looking at the neuroscience and the science of what is going on with us. Why is the kink community expanding? Uh, where is it going to? And I'm wanting to find out about the neuroscience behind it, the biology. Why are we all wanting to find something out about ourselves? I'm wanting to know, is this spiritual? I'm also looking at great philosophers right now. What are they saying about it? But at the same time that I'm looking at it from the top down, from the sciences, I'm also looking at it from the bottom up. And as you know, I've worked with people, God, about over 10,000 people now globally for over 30 years. And so I've put together lots of research, and I'm training in psychotherapy and hypnotherapy to find out what's going on. So I'm working from the top down and the bottom up to find out why there is an exponential change in the kink community. We're seeing a huge growth with sissification, with men wanting to explore gender role play. We're seeing an expansion with rubber, sensory deprivation, wanting to shut down. So it's actually really interesting. And the last 4 years, I have dedicated my life to finding out about the science of what is going on in the human mind. Well, let's call it the brain, the neurology, but also the biology. And why are we wanting to try all these different things, and why are we shifting and changing with our kinks? Is it a reflection of what's happening right now universally? You know, are we actually wanting to do this to fill a gap in our emotional makeup? Or are we thinking that's what we need to do? You know, that's what's inspiring me. That's where I'm at. And
Yeah.
my whole world is shifting, Nicholas. So over to you. What are you making of what I've just said?
When I think when we start looking at kink in an objective scientific level, you know, not you take emotion out just for the scientific aspect, it makes it very interesting, you know. And when you add the emotion back into it, you know what I mean, it takes it to a whole nother level. So let me ask you this:
Mm,
scientifically, right? I love being sexually controlled by a woman using the power of femdom,
right.
cross dressing, and chastity.
Okay.
Scientifically, why? Why do I like that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a very complex question you've asked. And I'm not a scientist, but I have trained in integrated talk therapies. So all I can do is share with you, first of all, my limited knowledge of the mind, because it's changing all the time. So I can only share with you the available science that I've researched, and I can only share with you my 30 years of experience. But everybody's interpretation of their kink or their fantasy is unique to them. But I'm just wondering,
Mm.
Nicholas, when you give control to a woman, what's actually happening? You're letting go
I,
of your role,
I
who you are, to find out a little bit more about yourself, maybe. I don't know, perhaps I can throw it back to you, and I might need to ask a few more questions to
of
in order
course,
to answer
of
your
course,
questions. So, what does it mean to you?
I like I like I like the connection of someone controlling me. So I guess in a way, the root of it, it's a form of affection and love and attention. You know,
Yeah.
someone has time and attention enough to pay attention to me, control me you know, that could be at the root of it. Another thing is the actual, like the feeling of the comfort of it, of not having to make decisions, of not having to be in control. That's a very comforting thing. And of course, there is the sexual desire, the urge, the lust, the hunger that's inside of me. You know what I mean? And there's also I don't want to say shame, but there's like, I don't want it to negatively affect my life or anyone's life. It matters. So it's the game of trying to use the fetish and kink for good, you know, for good purposes, you know,
So
constructive.
I'm wondering, are you using it maybe as a tool to get that wonderful comfort? You don't have to make any decisions. And when you have a relationship with someone that's taking control of you don't have to make the decisions. You feel safe, you feel comforted, you feel sexually aroused, and you're also exploring yourself when someone else takes control of you.
Hmm.
Where does it go? And I don't have to think, when I don't have to think about performing as I'm supposed to perform, where could it possibly go? That's really exciting. What can I learn more about myself while still being nurtured and comforted in a consensual relationship? Because we've agreed beforehand that this is going to be very safe. We know where we're going with it. I mean, we don't get
Yes.
that in normal sex, do we? We
Yeah.
don't get that in
Oh,
normal sex. Normal sex on a day-to-day basis is about, oh, let's swipe left or right, let's go and meet someone. We're meeting somebody from the outside in, we don't know anything about them. But the beautiful thing about kink and exchanging energies are, we're going to play this game and we know where it's going to go. And I'm going to find out more about myself. And I know I'm going to be safe when we do this, when I let go.
mm.
I don't know.
I
How is it for you? Maybe does that any of that resonate with you?
100%. I mean, not only that, but one thing I love about kink is the unknown, is I don't know what I'm going to feel next aspect. I enjoy that. I enjoy the chaos of it in a way.
Yeah.
The law of physics, the law of thermodynamics says chaos is always increasing unless opposed by equal force or more force, right?
Nicholas,
So
when things are chaotic, what happens? When there's chaos, what happens next when there's chaos? Out of chaos,
oh
what does there come?
hmm. Oh, chaos. Huh. More
So
chaos
we've got a lot
either,
of
or
chaos
worse.
going on. We
People,
don't know what's happening, and then what happens next?
the people try to put work in to try to control it. They,
Right.
yeah. It's
That's right.
basically physics. Yeah. So, but the interesting thing about it is that I like being a part of it. Seriously, and the fact of being a part of it is very therapeutic for me. So let's talk about the therapeutic benefits of play. Um,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
since I became involved in the kink community, since I embraced myself, really, I found myself. I'm Nicholas Tanek. I know who I am. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. Um,
Yes.
Finding yourself, I found that to be very therapeutic, and the fact that
It's
I could,
such a question.
yeah.
And this is such an
So
exciting question. Yeah. I love it. Thank you,
what?
Nicholas, for putting that up. It's wonderful. What therapeutic benefits? There are so many. Let's go back to the science. Let's look at all the neurotransmitters firing up. But before we do that, let's look what happens. We have a fantasy. We think about something that makes us feel good. We're firing up oxytocin. We're firing up all these amazing chemicals because we've designed it. There's no negativity. Nobody going, you can't do it. You can't do it. The imagination is perfect. And when things are perfect, we feel great. So we're starting off from a positive position of every single neurotransmitter that creates homeostasis there. So that's a great start point, right?
Yes.
So boom. Then we go, how can we do it? How can we do it? Is it possible? If we get it right and we find out about all the available resources of how to do it. So I'm talking now from an ethical point of view. We found somebody consensual to play with. We know that there are no mental health issues or physical health issues. So we're now going into, I'm going to fast forward for the sake of today's interview. We've done the ethical or the code of conduct and contraindications. We're with the right person. We know what we want. The other person knows what they want. We're coming together non-judgmentally. We're coming out of the framework of having to be something. We can be anything. And we've got all these amazing neurotransmitters firing up, saying this is good. And then we are able to become something else. We switch off the prefrontal cortex. We're switching off the monkey brain. We're switching off this inner critic. You play a role. Take us, Nicholas. You come to me. You're playing a role. I'm playing a role. All of a sudden, we let go of everything society has made us become. Everything that society has made us become. Our mothers, our fathers, our teachers, everything we don't like, we've thrown it away. We've thrown away time. We've thrown away space. And
Yes.
we're in a space we've created. Every neurotransmitter is just firing up. Switching off the prefrontal cortex, we now are able to access the most innate part of the human being, what we were born as, our true form. Wow. And when we play with a good person in a consensual environment, we are going into TACS, temporary altered conscious states. We are going above flow. We are taking natural ayahuasca. Everybody out there, go do the science. Stephen Hawking, go watch his film and then go read his books and then go and understand what he learned. Look at physics, look at chemistry, look at these amazing sciences, learn about yourself. Go take the best natural drug in the world. You will learn how to heal your diseases. I've overcome migraine. I've overcome chronic arthritis, through play, and I teach people, and this is what's inspiring me. We are tapping into the most incredible powerhouse of our bodies. Don't call it kink, don't call it BDSM, call it natural ayahuasca. Learn about it, understand what's going on. I'm going to wrap this up. It's a topic in itself. It's healing. I was at a kink convention a couple of weeks ago, and we have got people playing and overcoming mental health issues and physical disabilities. I work with ADHD people. I'm pushing them into TACS, temporary altered conscious states. It's natural. And I'm developing something right now which is integrating AI with altered states of consciousness to help people. I don't call it kink.
That goes to the next question, but I have to say,
let's pin this somewhere else, because I know that I'm on this talk for something else, but it's very exciting. And if we can get the sciences tapping into what's happening when we play, there's thousands of people saying the same thing that I'm saying right now. We are going to have a paradigm shift in how we see kink. It's an access into the powerhouse. The most intimate part of ourselves is actually the answer and the solution to overcome a lot of our mental and physical disabilities right now that are caused by society, which is outdated. We need to change. Are you getting this energy?
I am getting this energy. And you know what? I looked at this, I'm embracing it. The only constant in life is change. And that's what we're doing. We're changing.
It's called evolution. Let's not call it change.
Evolution.
Let's replace the word change. Change is quite dramatic for people. Natural evolution, which is why this is growing.
Yes.
It's now, a therapy. Of course it's therapy, which is why we're naturally drawn to it. Okay. AI and kink.
AI and kink. So how have you been evolving with AI? And how has kink been evolving with AI?
God, I hate those letters. What does it mean to you? What's this AI nonsense? Come on, share.
AI is a Stanley Kubrick movie. I mean, a Steven Spielberg movie. Now, it's artificial intelligence, obviously, but I have a love-hate relationship with it. You know, as everybody does. I embrace change because it's inevitable, but it's also cheapening the human touch in many ways, or the human active. But it's still, we're embracing it. We don't have a choice. Let's evolve with it. We have to. So how are you evolving with it?
We've been doing it for many years. People think it's something that's going to come along. Boom, we're in it. Wake up, everyone.
We've been
in it. We've been using it for years, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. So, but recently with the boom and everything like that, how have you been using it? And especially, you said that we're going through a paradigm shift. With kink and kink culture, how is AI a part of this?
So sorry. How is AI?
How has AI basically changed the adult industry? How's it changed your business?
I think it's already changed, Nicholas. I don't think it's changing. I think it's already changed. I think we need to wake up and understand that it changed with social media. It changed many years ago. And it's happening at such a rapid rate that we can't even keep up with it. I always say we have medieval brains, and we're still functioning in the 1600s. And, like Noah Harari, I'm a great fan of, Sapiens and Homo Sapiens, a great read for people. And I will quote what he says: we have medieval brains, and we are in a world that we can't cope with, and we don't understand it. In answer to what you're asking, how AI is changing the adult industry, it's changed it. Period. Wake up. Look at Twitter. Oh, sorry, X. Look at what's happening. Look at what we're doing. It's changed. It's already changed. How is it going to change? No, it's changed. Wake up, people. Be aware of it, and take the good bits and be aware of the bad bits.
So how can you use AI with kink therapy, with healing through kink?
How can we use AI to what?
to, in a good way, to help kink, to enhance our kink? To, you know, what are some ways that you have been using AI?
I'd love to be able to answer that, and I think maybe that everybody that can contact you maybe come up with some ideas. I think there's a lot of positives right now. I think we need to
Yeah.
connect more. I think there's a massive pandemic. I'm not worried about COVID. I'm worried about loneliness and isolation and
Yes.
fragmentation and separation. And I think we need to be using AI to connect with, and I think we need to be using AI to be transparent with and tell everybody what we are as humans and how to use AI to keep humanity going.
It's funny that we're going to use AI, artificial intelligence, to talk to each other, basically, to, you know, to negotiate problems. You know. So all right, let's get back to ethical code of practices and awareness. Now, throughout the years, you've been in the scene, in the community for many years.
Yeah,
Do you notice a shift in the ethical code of practices?
yeah, yeah. Um, I think there's been a massive shift. And again, it's another topic that you could discuss for hours and hours. And it concerns me, Nicholas. It really concerns me that people are driven by likes, people are driven
Yeah.
by what they look like, and people are driven by they will put their needs before the needs of others. And what I'm seeing right now is people posting lots and lots of images of themselves, claiming to be something, but they never actually show what they do. And I'm wondering if they're using kink as a platform just to promote themselves as an image. I don't know. So you've got that going on. And then there seems to be this subculture of people that seem to be misusing the industry to make a lot of money by selling courses, and they're not trained in mental health. They haven't gone to medical school for 10 years.
Hmm.
And I don't see how people can promote fetishes and practices or processes with the human body without giving you contraindications. And there seems to be a lot of people being driven by money and likes and wanting to be influencers versus people that are listening to what human beings are wanting, and they're not giving, and they're not able to work out when someone comes to or connects with them, for what purpose are they connecting with them? Is it the right thing that they can
Yeah.
provide them with? Are they just actually needing a cuddle or to be listened to? I think there's a lot of exploitation, and I'm very concerned about it. And I'm really concerned where the adult industry is going. And it's also the ethical practice needs to sit with the platforms such as OnlyFans and Elon Musk, because
Yeah.
there's been a
I
massive change. And I don't want to get political here, but I think we need to be aware
Yes.
of reality, because actually the artificial intelligence is what we are using to communicate with. We are the artificial intelligence unless we wake up to what's going on. And the kink community has shifted into a platform for making money and likes. And we've lost the essence
Mm.
of what it's all about, which is an experience, a live experience, and sharing and connecting, not creating an image of an individual.
You say life and everything like that, and is it safe to assume that what the book that's in front of you is it safe to assume that's Grey's Anatomy? The book?
It is. It
Yes,
is.
it is.
That's what we are. That's what we are. And I want to press every single button on what I've come into the world as. And I take responsibility to do that. And I don't outsource my needs and my likes to people that don't share the same attitude as me. Because we all come into the
Grey's
world with the
Anatomy is
same abilities to do
Grey's
that.
Anatomy is an amazing book. It's an amazing book. Medical students use it. I had a little kid. You know the human body. You have to know the human body. I gave it to my queen for Hanukkah on one of the days. It's you have to know the human body. So please, everyone watching or listening to this, Madame C, one of the most legendary dominatrixes, kink enthusiast, advocate, a kink advocate, a true inspiration to us all. Read a book. Grey's Anatomy. Do your research. Science is important. Know your
I know.
body before you start playing with someone else's body. Right?
Absolutely. Nicholas, spot on. Find out who you are before you hand control of yourself over to someone else because you're irresponsible. If you don't know yourself, don't give yourself to someone.
Right on.
And
Yes.
all the
So
information in this day and age, everything's out there, everything's out there. And I'm sure you've got another question.
I do.
I'm sure there's
Now,
a question.
knowing your body, especially kink, porn, kink, it becomes addictive. I find myself, I mean, part of chastity play is playing with that addiction, playing with the impulse. Yeah, like, as I said before, I'm in chastity right now. Under all this, garter belts, stockings, I got a corset and everything. It keeps calling me. It's an addiction. Now, I don't do drugs, so I don't do cocaine. I was bad. Cocaine, heroin, the whole thing. None of it. Don't do any of it. But I do have a strong addiction to kink. It's a part of my personality. It's who I am. And I try to control it and everything like that. But what do you do when kink becomes an addiction for some people?
Yeah, that's such a good question, and I think it's probably one of the most important questions because addiction is not just in kink, it's in every single part of our life. And at what point does it become an addiction? First of all, we have to accept it's sitting down and accepting who are we, what are we doing, and what proportion of my life is this taking up. And I'm probably going to draw you back into this, Nicholas, because I think you used the word addiction on 3 or 4 occasions then. And I think you suggested to me that you said you've been addicted to things. Are you able to share
Yeah.
that with me?
Oh, yes. I have a very addictive personality. A
How
very
do you
addictive
know that?
personality. I
How do
was
you know
I
that?
how do I well through it took a lot of time, a lot of love. I wrote a book called The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself, which deals with my struggle with heroin, cocaine. There's a lot of heroin, cocaine in New Jersey and New York,
Mm,
and I I didn't do any of that stuff because I had a bad childhood or anything like that. I wasn't running away, wasn't feeling a hole. I literally did it for pleasure. I wanted to kind of seek out, whimsically, almost seek out a new level of consciousness. You know what I mean? I wanted to be on some other level. And obviously, the addiction sets in. So it messed up my life, and it really ruined my life in many ways. I would have so much more money. I would have so many more better relationships and time. I would accomplish creatively. I would have written so many more books if I wasn't, didn't spend so much time and energy on that. And then I look back at kink. Kink was always there, but it never, for me at least, I never stole for it. I never had to deplete my bank account for it. I never physically gone to the hospital because of kink. But the yearning, the struggle is still there. When I see your videos, watching your videos and just the way you talk, or the way your hand just moves over their bodies, the latex or the rubber or whatever, when you hold a caged cock, everything you do, that becomes addictive. That becomes like that feeling, watching that. I want that feeling again, to see that. So you go back to it, right? You watch it again. And that's why people watch you all the time over and over again, because they want that feeling.
So
So I deal with addiction.
it's right to ask you a question. What would you need to not be addicted?
I don't necessarily know. When it comes to addictive nature and kink, it's part of my personality. So I'm aware of who I am and my attitude and what I like. So I try to use it for good. So in other words, I try to use my fetishes for good. I do this. I talk to people. I celebrate people. I try to promote people. So I have to deal with it. I have to accept it. Whereas something like a chemical addiction, like heroin, cocaine, or alcohol, you have a physical dependency on that. I could go and not be kinky for the rest of my life. I'm not going to be happy. I would hate it, but I'll live. I would be miserable. I wouldn't want to live necessarily, but I would be miserable. But it's there. I accept it. So a part of, like, when it comes to addiction, 12-step programs, all this stuff, a lot of the first step is it's accepting it or addressing it and like being aware. So that's what I try to do.
Once you've accepted it, so I'm sure for everybody that might be listening that feels that it might be slightly out of control for them, is first of all accepting it, and then what do you think we have to do after acceptance? I'm wondering what for you do you think we need to do?
Well, when it comes to kink, or would this be kink or just addiction? Would this be kink or addiction in general?
I think that it doesn't matter. If it's okay with you, I'm going to use kink or going and gambling or somebody running into the kitchen and eating all the time. It's actually just an action. So it's all the same thing. It's when you're aware that you're doing it all the time. So if it's kink or anything else, first of all, it's that awareness. And awareness sometimes comes with acceptance. And I'm just wondering when there's been something else in your life, or maybe mine, when I've been aware of something, and then what value do you put to that awareness? Is it having an effect on you too much, or your friends? So after awareness, step one, where did you go with, well, when you did the heroin, how did you, I'm just wondering how we can help other people. What was the next step after acceptance and awareness? Where did it go, maybe?
Basically, work of not of putting yourself in a situation where you're not going to be around that again. That means cutting off friends, sometimes people, places, locations, stuff like that. When it comes to drugs, anyone struggling, but it's possible for anyone who's struggling out there with drug addiction, and I know a lot of you are struggling with heroin. Some of you are on methadone still. And it's hopeless. It feels absolutely hopeless, utterly hopeless, devastatingly hopeless. I made it. I was doing 15 bags of dope a day, right? Seriously. And basically 200, 300 of coke a day. It's way too much money. And second, it's murder. You're killing yourself. You're murdering yourself. But there's hope. You can get out. I'm still alive. I'm alive today.
No, I'm just wondering, Nicholas, that feeling of struggle is the first sign to go.
Yeah.
Listen to it. Let's not call it struggle. Let's call it a feel. Like desperation is not desperation. It's actually a voice. So it's actually good.
Let's talk about.
It's good. Let's change the name of desperation and go, it's the answer. When you feel that desperation or you're feeling out of control, you're actually in control. That's the first step.
That is true. Holistic kink. Holistic kink. What is it?
Holistic kink. Okay, so we're kind of going back to this. We're actually pulling everything together. So if you can imagine this is a spider web. So everything that we've touched on so far, we're pulling it all together. So holistic is looking at the whole. Hence the name holistic, and where the word comes from, the Latin holos. So we are born whole. Our left and right hemisphere of the brain are connected. We are whole. We are in our purest form. And if we can look up, let's throw the word kink out. So let's throw kink out. And what we're doing is we're getting urges, we're getting our imagination created, creating images going, when I think of this, it makes me feel like this. Let's give you an example. When I dress in a pair of stockings, or when I put some latex on, it makes me feel better than I'm feeling right now. So a kink is literally what it is. It's a kink, which is, there's your hose pipe going along. It kinks. It's off the normal scale of the straight hose pipe. So think of that with, you're going to work every day. I have a nice imagination of a thought that makes me feel great. It's not normal to what I'm doing right now. It's a kink. It's out of the norm, and it makes me feel good. Now, what we can do is use that as a tool. Doesn't take us over, we go, that's a tool. It's a bit like going, I like to have a glass of Coca-Cola, it makes me feel nice, I like it. Or I like to drive a fast car, it makes me feel nice, but I can't do it all the time. So kink is a tool. And if we learn about what that kink is for us individually, not collectively, not by reading books and what other people say, what you are saying about it, you can use that as a tool to take yourself out of your state right now and temporarily go into a heightened state of pleasure, of feeling good, of natural endorphins. It goes beyond and above sex because we are coming out of who we are and we're using a role play or an altered state of mind to become something else and access natural chemicals that make us feel good. The imagination always will draw us, the human brain draws us to pleasure. So kink can be used in an ethical environment with consensual beings to create a holistic state of well-being by creating amazing chemicals in the mind and in the body together at the same time to make massive changes for self-development and also homeostasis. This is such a big topic and I'm really struggling to try and compact this down into about 3 or 4 minutes because it's something I've studied for 20 or 30 years. So please, anybody that wants to talk to me, please reach out with an email because there's so much I want to say on this subject, Nicholas.
You can talk as long as you want on my show. This is your show. You can do whatever you want. One thing I really want to say is that I'm in the hospital bed. I'm in the liver transplant. I'm having a liver transplant, in and out of pain. Those watching kink and seeing kink, even if I'm not feeling sexual at all, I'm not getting an erection is the last thing on my mind, but being a part of the lifestyle and seeing not only my friends on X and Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff doing and FetLife, seeing you, all that stuff. All of that seemed to take me into like another world in my mind.
That's right, it does. It's
and
exactly
chemically
that.
too.
Absolutely.
Chemically too.
Yes,
So
why don't we look, if that's all right, why don't we look at what was happening there? So you're in a state of, you're in hospital, you've been in and out of pain, and before you got in and out of pain, you've been on a massive journey, and you are using that imagery, and this is where the mind is so powerful, and why you're drawn to it, you're using that imagery because when you're in that space, this is where we have so much control over our mind and body. A bit like meditation, when we meditate or when we go into altered states, we are literally able to take ourselves out of the pain level and transcend to something else.
Yes.
This goes back to the science of it. So when you're in a hospital bed and you've got all of those triggers around you, pain, everything triggering you to the past, what do? You use your imagination or you look at some images and they take you to a space that switches off all of the neural correlates that you're in right now and it takes you somewhere else. You're literally rewiring your brain and you're using it as a tool, as pain control.
Is
And
that
we
why
do this with other
many
sectors of
people many people just look at porn and scroll through porn right before they go to bed? I'm guilty of doing that. like just like on X or Twitter or Instagram, stuff like because all of my friends are kinky, all of them really. So I'm around it all the time, so, like, which is kind of beautiful. Anyway, let's go back to the next question. Can kink be spiritual?
Wow, this is such a massive question. Again, I can talk for hours on this because of the people I connect with and the experiences I've had. Of course, it's spiritual. Of course, it's spiritual. We're finding out about ourselves. We're connecting with other human beings on another level. We're also not just connecting with other human beings on another level when we play. Again, we are changing our brainwaves. And when we change our brainwaves, we are going into what's called a morphic resonance. We are connecting with the field, which is the quantum field. So I'm people with quantum physics here. But if you want to, go and check some amazing people out. Rupert Sheldrake. Go and dig out what's going on with the human brain. And when we start to switch down the prefrontal cortex when we play, we're literally lowering our brainwaves when we play. We're switching off every single thing that's causing a higher frequency. And when we play, we shut ourselves down, close ourselves down, slow everything down, and then we're playing in an environment, a safe space that's allowing us to connect with a natural environment that we were born in. We literally connect with the quantum field. And we are reaching a state of spirituality. It's like watching, how many times, I mean, everybody's going to have a different experience. How many times have you looked at that incredible sunset and gone, wow?
Yeah.
And you stop.
Yeah.
We listen to an amazing track of music. I was actually with my partner, we went to London to go and see London Grammar, and you've got the lights going, and you've got the music going, and you've got this collective energy, and everybody's just buzzing. I came out of my body. I switched off my thinking brain. I became something else. We do the same thing with play, but it's even better than that because we are also having our body touched. Every single thing is connected, and we are actually connecting with something. We are transcending into another space, which is why we love it.
Yes.
We do it with
Yes.
music. Kink is music. Kink is food. Kink is connecting with somebody. Kink is not just kink, it's everywhere. We're constantly doing it. We're wired to do it. Is to strip this nonsense off here and go into an altered state. This is why we take drugs. This is why people take drugs. I want to teach people how to access natural drugs.
Natural ayahuasca.
Absolutely, whatever you want to call it. We are designed as human beings to support ourselves mentally and physically. Learn how to do it. Play is one way of doing it. Listening to music is another way of doing it. Eating good food is another way of doing it. Meditating is another way of doing it. What we do is almost like timesing it by 1,000. It's 1,000 times meditation. It's 1,000 times listening to music because it's unique to us and we design it for ourselves. We have got to really start to get into the science of what's going on with why we do kink.
It's do.
Spiritual.
Especially since the liver transplant.
If you want it to be.
Since the liver transplant, my five senses have been heightened. It's like everything's on volume 11, like in the movie Spinal Tap. Seriously, the things taste different. The human touch feels differently. Like music sounds differently. Like it everything's like up a notch, like 11 a little bit. So we have a question. We have some questions. We're talking about subspace. Now you have this amazing voice and this amazing style, even when you're dominating, it's incredibly comforting, So I can only imagine the private subspace that you offer to your subs. My question, the question is that someone gave me to ask is subspace different for sissies than it is for latex drones or other fetishists? And on top of that, how do you approach the difference? How do you approach their subspace differently?
Okay, so we've got a lot of questions going on there. They're really great questions. So
Okay, we'll
absolutely
start it off.
good.
Is
We've got
subspace
quite a
different
lot
for
going on.
sissies?
So, okay, so I can't answer that because it's unique to each individual.
Yes.
So let's go to the science. We're all ending up in the same place. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you're a sissy, if you dress up in latex, it doesn't matter if you're naked. We're all exactly the same, wanting to go to the same space. We're wanting to get out of where we are now and we're wanting to experience something different. Some people will dress in women's clothes because that's the doorway they go through. Maybe let's call it the front door of a house of kink. Other people will want to wear latex and they'll go through the top window, but they're still getting into the house of kink. And then you've got people that might be naked that go through the back door, but they're still wanting to get to the same space. But to them, that's the tool, that's the doorway that they need to get to it. But if we put the fMRI scanners on everybody and we're finding out what's happening, we're just using different doorways that we give different meanings to get to the same space. Okay?
Yeah. You said that there's a natural paradigm shift occurring in kink. I'm going to take myself out because I really want the world to hear this. What is this natural paradigm shift?
Paradigm shift occurring with kink. Okay. Again, a massive, massive question here because we've got to look at the word paradigm. We've got to look at the word occurring. We've got to look at the word kink. So why don't we throw the word kink out? Let's throw the word paradigm out. Let's throw the word occurring, which is movement. Why don't we look at the world right now? If we look at the world right now, we've got massive changes, confusion. And when we're confused, what are we going to do when we're confused? When we're confused, we get a little bit scared and we're going to run and we're going to hide. And when we run and we hide, we normally go inside ourselves for comfort. And the human body has everything available to it for comfort. And it self-soothes. And when we self-soothe, everybody will remember what they do as children. They use their imagination. But now we're all adults that play in the world of kink. So we're not only going to use our imagination to self-soothe, we're going to sexualize it, to really intensify it and give ourselves a great big hit of pleasure to overcome what's going on in the world. So the paradigm shift in kink is a direct reflection of what's going on in the world, which is chaotic right now. And we want to self-soothe. And what are we going to do to self-soothe? We're going to want to validate that by seeing, is everybody else self-soothing? And they are, because everybody right now has access to social media, showing the world how they're self-soothing. And they're self-soothing even more by showing the world what they're doing and getting likes from it and validating what they're doing. So we've got this exponential change of everybody going doing something a little bit naughty, because not only is it self-soothing, but we're also getting validation of what everybody else is doing in the world, and it's all okay to do it, creating this big, great big kink community, which is growing. It's a reflection of what's going on in the world. It's absolutely chaotic out there right now. We're going to self-soothe. We're going to do what we're designed to do, use our imagination and fulfill some pleasures and balance ourselves, which is playing. It goes beyond and above sex. Sex is a bit outdated. That's just procreation. And that's within a concept and a pressure of having to be something. Kink, you can be anything. And right now, we need a revolution. Right now, we need a motherfucking revolution. That's why we're doing it all. It's cheaper than drugs and it's natural. And we're going to do it and it's going to grow and grow and grow.
So without one thing that you do is you heal people, you do. So without mentioning names or anything like that, is one of the questions I have, is kink empowering, helping with overcoming trauma? We know it is. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, it is.
Handled correctly, Nicholas.
Pardon me?
Correctly.
Yes. So, so can you please, without giving personal details of anyone, can you give some examples of how this is true?
Yeah, I can, and it might not be the examples that you expect.
Okay.
So I work with quite a lot of young men, not young men, men in their 30s and 40s, younger than me, so of course they're young. I work with a lot of people that have never had relationships with women. Men have had intimate relationships, and some of them suffer. There seems to be a pattern with a lot of them suffer with ADHD. I now integrate some of my training within my sessions, and we've had massive dramatic effects with taking people into TACS, which is temporary altered conscious states, and allowing people to express themselves in their truest form without what they've been told they are. And again, this is a subject which is very dear to my heart, and it's very difficult to explain this in 2 or 3 minutes. But we've had massive results with ADHD, people with erectile dysfunction, women that are suffering with body dysmorphia, relationships. I work with a lot of couples, and they've been together for a very long time, and then they're sort of separating, and then it's actually down to communication, and we've used kink and experiential learning. So I use an experiential learning model for couples and individuals of what have you learned by exploring who you are outside of who you think you are. So when you dress up in rubber or you dress up as a woman, you take on an altered state, and you can find out more about yourself when you're not being judged. So I work with a lot of gender role. I work with gender role playing, or what it's like to be a doll and not be yourself. What's it like? What do you learn about yourself when you're not being the person that society or your family's made you be? And we do experiential learning, and it's just been absolutely incredible. I'm getting incredible breakthroughs with people, and insights of what it's like to be themselves without having to have all the other voices telling them what they should be. And dressing up is a great tool to empowerment and learning to let go of everything you think you should be and find out about who you really are. It's freedom, it's liberation, but then we also have to understand that you don't need to be dressed up all the time, you don't need to be wearing all these things all the time, but what it is a tool to go further than what you are right now, or to go back to what you really are. It allows you to step out of everything you've had to be, and it allows you to become everything you could be. And that's a very big thing through play.
I am a happier person because I've accepted the fact that I'm a kinky person. I embrace, and ever since I started playing, wearing women's clothes, exploring femdom with girlfriends and stuff like that. I'm a happier person, and I think I'm a better man too, because I have an understanding of a perspective that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't in that situation, if I didn't allow myself to be in that situation. So I think it's very empowering. One thing I want to
let's just quickly look at what you're doing. You're actually going, I'm experiencing being everything above and beyond what I've learned to be right now. It's amazing. It's like being a rock star. It's no different than someone taking a guitar and going on stage and going, I'm going to be Taylor Swift, or I'm going to be someone else. When we do kink, we allow ourselves to be everything we truly want to be for that moment and experience those new feelings. And they're great. But we also have to know that that's a part of us. We've got to also know what it's like to ground ourselves and sit within the matrix. But we know that's available to us. And it's
now we have some other questions now. One thing, interviewing people, being a part of this community, people know you and they love you. I've got someone in the studio right now who wants to say a word to you, who I'll bring in later. But people love you. They speak very highly of you, as they should. They should. You are a legend in the kink community. But you had influences. So who are your influences? Who are the people who made you who you are today?
Oh, thank you for that question. I think it's really good because there's many, many people and they're constantly changing. Um, and it's not just people, Nicholas. It's not just people that influence me. It can be, I work with horses, so people that know me, I've worked with horses, they've really taught me so much. They're a metaphor. So I found the herd very influential. I found the animal kingdom incredibly influential. I like to look at how they integrate and connect, and they're able to forgive, and they're able to nudge each other, and then 2 seconds later they love each other. So I found nature a huge inspiration, and then I found, I'll tell you what, the day before yesterday, I went to Costa Coffee and I started talking to a lady there, and it was probably a lady that lots of people would have just ignored. And I said, "How was your day?" And she goes, "It's been really shite. I've had to be in at 5 o'clock in the morning. I've got 3 kids. My husband's left me. I didn't want to be here today." That's my inspiration. That's my inspiration. How did you do that? How did
Yeah.
you get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning and get those 3 kids to wherever they needed to be? How did you
Hmm.
overcome the pain? And then she said, "And I'm on this medication and it makes me feel really funny. And it's actually, I've had it since I was 2 years old." And I'm going, wow, that's my inspiration, Nicholas.
Yeah.
And it's the inspiration of somebody that gets on a plane. And I've got an individual, I'm not going to say what his name is, his brother brings him over here because he's seen a massive difference because of the therapy we offer with play, because he likes to dress up and he has, through play, learned he's able to actually find out more about himself. And he's my inspiration because his brother's helped him, his brother's seen the change in him, he's now gone on to help other people, and he took the courage to find out about himself. And he was a normal person who's gone through loads and loads of problems. The people that inspire me are on a daily basis. I could
Yeah.
go and say, "Oh, there's an influencer or there's a great rock star." They do nothing. It's the normal person, day to day. It's the inspiration of what my children do. It's the inspiration of the people that work with me do. On a moment to moment basis, I am inspired by human life to get up and go, "I'm feeling sick today." What is it that gets them to the next moment? What gets them through
Yeah.
things? That's
When
inspiration.
I'm
I love
when I
people.
when I was sick, especially when I'm sick, I'm looking at these people who are just living normal, boring lives, and I envied that because I was sick. But
Mm.
that's inspiring. Just the fact that they're alive, seeing life inspired. And horses inspire you. You're a horse lover. Now, one thing I know, shout out to my aunt, horse lovers are a unique type of person, wouldn't you say? They,
No,
they,
no, you can tell me more about that. You're looking into the excited. I think
deli-
what we should say.
I want to talk about the symbolism of pony play and horse play in BDSM.
Yeah.
So before we talk about that, all right, I want to ask you this: what made you fall in love with the majesty of horses?
Oh, that's a lovely. You're so good with your questions. I love them. I just love your questions. So what made me fall in love with the majesty of the horse? Well, I think there's one word that sticks out in that sentence, and it's majesty, but I'll replace it with the spirit. It's the
Okay.
spirit of the horse. It's their breathing. It's their when I'm in the company of a horse, I'm not judged. And they look at me and they accept me and they expect nothing of me. And I become nothing. When I'm with a horse, I become nothing. They can kill me They can accept me, and the fact that they accept me is just incredible. And I watch them as a herd, and I've worked with them as a herd. And if I could come back as an animal, it would be a horse. They've carried us through war. They've carried us through all the industrial revolutions. They've been our best friends. We can learn so much from them, but I have to say, every time I am in the company of a horse, I feel their spirit, and it's a little bit, it's the same space as when somebody lets go of everything they think they are, and we're in that subspace. I'm in the same space with a horse as I am with someone when I play with them and they've reached subspace, and then they go, wow, I went somewhere. And that's the space that the horse is in all the time. So I correlate the two. The horse is where they are all the time, and that's where we want to go. And that's what we're constantly craving, is to get to that natural innate state of being.
Now, we have a question from the group. I know you have love in your heart, everything like that, but you have a love for horses. Pup play versus pony play.
Yeah.
What do you prefer, pup play or pony play? I would assume pony play because of your love of horses, right?
Well, I'm going to have a natural bias, right? So I'm going to have a natural bias because I'd rather sit on a saddle than squat a puppy.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's both really exciting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone's coming to you and they're going, I don't want to be a human anymore. I want to know what it's like to be free. So when you're a dog, you know, I can only imagine I'd have to get down on my hands and knees and be a dog. But what type of dog are you being? Are you being a dog that's beaten? Are you being a dog that's a happy dog? What sort of dog are you? And then
You know, when it
what
comes,
are you?
do you now when it comes to like first
Sorry?
I was saying like sissies and ponies, the animal play versus the sissy play, it both takes courage to make that first step.
Oh, courage. I absolutely love people, ponies or whatever it is. It's massive courage to go, I'm going to step out of being me. I'm going to go into my mental stage. Because it's a stage, right? We've created a mental stage, and we're just using the puppy, or we're using the sissy, or we're using whatever it is to dress up and be something else. That takes bloody balls. I have 100% respect for someone. Come along, share it with me.
Not only
does
it take courage, but sometimes it takes some money. So what about people who want to experience pony play?
Yeah.
Or want to experience sissy play, but they don't have money. They have no experience. They have no money. What do they do?
What do they do? Good question. Really good question. First of all, there's tons and tons and tons of free stuff out there, right? So go and identify what is it you want. I think so many people go in not knowing and they don't research enough. There is tons and tons and tons of stuff. What sort of pony play do you like? What sort of I mean, we're talking, we're sort of like kind of narrowing it down to pony play and something else. Let's go kink. It's out there. Go research, find out, go back again. Do you still like it? What is it you like about it? Go back again. Is there other bits about it? Explore, expand, write it down, write your own fantasies about it. Sit in your own world first of all before you start spending money.
Yes.
That's step one. Step two, get a couple of little bits. What does it feel like? Looking at it is one thing, feeling it is another thing. You might not actually like it when you put it on. You can put your dog collar around your neck if you're a dog. What's it like? Act it out. Make it real. Write it down. Reflect on it. How does it make you feel? So many people have expectations it's going to be something without going through all the processes of what it's actually about. Reach out to people. There are communities out there. Start talking to people. So start listening to what other people are saying. You've looked at what's out there. You've experienced a little bit through doing it yourself. Now start talking to people. Bring all the senses on. How are you going to know what it's like if you don't know what it tastes like, looks like, feels like, or listens? And then once you've collated all of those pieces of information, then think, do I really want to pay for this? Or do I want to now go to a club? You've got clubs, you've got meets, you've got munches. There are so many different ways to connect. And I would suggest you do that before you go and make a payment to someone. Find out what all of those senses are doing for you, and then start to talk to other people. And even if you don't always get the answers from those people, keep trying. Keep trying. It's a little bit like driving that car. You just don't get in a car and drive it, you'll crush it. If you just go and make an appointment with somebody, it might go wrong. Approach kink as if you would do taking a driving or wanting to drive a car. It takes lessons. You have to go on motorways and roundabouts and drive different cars. Find out about what works for you first of all and start talking to people. And if you don't get the right driving instructor, try someone else. Approach kink as you would any other normal thing. It's quite a normal process wanting to explore kink, except that it's just been demystified. Does that help, Nicholas?
It helps. It very much helps very much. Now, we have a tweet from MKRM, MKS Rubber Maid. I'm not going to be able to make it, but I would love to hear Madame C talk about the weekend maid retreats.
Right, okay. Yeah, okay.
All right.
So I'm really into experiential learning. So I'm really into experiential learning, and I'm really into people finding out about themselves. So over the 30 years, I started off 32, 33 years ago. Oh my God, is it really that long ago? 30 minutes, 1 hour talking with people, then obviously all the talk therapies. We've now reached where we're at now, 33 years later. We're getting some great results from people that fly over, spend a couple of days with me, and they go into this amazing experience of taking the phone away, not having to think about anything, going into a world that they've always wanted to experience, and it's tailored for them. Then they want to play a little bit of maid training and do stuff in the playroom, in the studios, and a little bit of bondage. They may want to just do maid training. Whatever they want, we create that scene for them. But around that, we also allow them to come out of that role and just talk to me as a normal person. How was that sort of first 4 hours for you? Do you want to try a bit more? Do you want to do this? It's about having 2 or 3 days away from everything that you've become, and everything is being accessed that you want to become. So the maid training days or the retreats, for whatever you want to experience, we are creating an altered world for you to get into, to experience everything that you want to experience, and it's tailored for you. Away from mobile phones, away from being a father, away from being a son, away from being a mother, because we get couples as well that come and do this. And you learn so much, and if you want to, you can tag onto it our experiential learning packages and therapeutic packages. What did you learn from it? What do you want to experience more of? What didn't you like? What have you learned from that 3 days experience or 2 days experience that you can learn to integrate in other parts of your life? So we get a lot of people that are running great big businesses and corporations, and they come along, they want to escape from it, they come and stay with us, and they start to realise that by stepping outside of the box of normality, they learn more about themselves, and then they go back and integrate into business or their relationship. And what they've learned in the sessions or the days with me, they're applying to other parts or other areas of their life. So we're getting great big shifts with people. And it's very, very exciting. So not only are they having great excitement and pleasure, they're also learning incredible skills and insights about how to develop and expand their life outside of just kink. So we're transferring skills from the deep intimate self and taking it into another part of their life. And they're having huge, great big leaps of self-development and awareness in other parts of their life, and actually enhancing their relationships and emotional awareness. with people, the world, and where they're wanting to go. Does that help, Nicholas, with what I'm saying there? Because it's all tailored towards individuals. So it's not a fixed framework. Framework is being built around the individual. What is their goal? What do they want? We're bringing so many different things. It's integrated therapy, it's kink, it's self-exploration. We're putting it all together with very exciting neuroscience-based therapies to give somebody everything. This is cutting edge. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. You're learning about yourself. You're not just having an experience, you're also learning about yourself. And then we also do follow-up appointments. How was that for you? How are you feeling after that? It's not just coming along for the session, it's coming along to session with yourself.
Yes. Beautiful way to put it, too. Shout out to Mischief Manor, Mr. Shari and Catnip, and Cherry C Bombs from Conversations with Crossdressers. We had Sissy Charm School, very much inspired by what you're nowhere near on the level of what you do, but we had one day where we had, you know, hair, makeup, we had a chef, everything like that. We had clothes giveaway and everything. It was pretty wonderful. Go out there. If you're out there, organize your sissies. Seriously, they're a force.
Everybody out there that's listening to this, please embrace what we're saying. If it's done ethically and it's done correctly, and you do a discovery call and you understand what what people are wanting, and you feel you've got the skills to provide a safe space for people to explore themselves with, it's really, really great. It can build resilience within a person. It really
One thing that fascinates me is how stuff like this happens. I love people. So I love people coming together, and it's work trying to get people together. So how did you organize Sissy Maid training retreat?
It's not just me. It's not just me that organizes this. So this isn't about me, Nicholas. This is about everyone. This is about, I am so blessed because I have great people around me, right? And the great people around me are surrounded by great people because they're authentic and they're honest to each other. So I actually don't organize anything. I just go, hey guys, I've got a space here. Why don't we do this? And then everybody goes, yeah, let's go do this. We work as a team. I don't do it. I'm the facilitator.
It is magnificently impressive. Just the Christmas party that you throw, that I show, just everybody by like Santa stops here, and everyone is beautiful. I have to admit, like they walk into your place, they leave beautiful. So I want to go in. I want to go deeper into this. So what can a maid expect as soon as they walk in your retreat? What's the first thing they experience?
Me listening to them. Because they're not listened to. No one listens to anyone anymore. The first thing I do is I listen and I say, what do you want? We're not listened to, Nicholas. The biggest thing I do with my work is to listen. And then once I've listened, I want to give people the love and the space to be heard.
That is beautiful. And I'm writing it down. Space.
And the world would be a better place if only we shut the fuck up and listened and stopped talking about ourselves. I have the most beautiful people in my world because there is a space that I back out of. And that space is to give people what I didn't have. Okay, so my mission is to give people what I didn't have. And then my purpose is to give people what I didn't have. I do have it now. So I'm having the most amazing life, and I'm so blessed. My purpose is to create a space that I couldn't get to And we create a safe space here for other people to come and listen, to be listened to, and to connect with other people that aren't listened to, and have a part of them that aren't listened to. That's where we have great parties, and we have a great community, a great world here.
I thought you might find this funny. Growing up as a young boy, growing up, I was a slob. I really was. I was very messy. I was like, I hoarded tons of records and CDs and VHS tapes and clothes just everywhere. It was a mess. It was embarrassing. Then I got kinky. And then I became, let me put it this way. These days, I clean the house, 3 floors, clean it up and down, bathroom, kitchen, sink, vacuum, everything. And I'm dripping in my chastity cage the whole time, enjoying, loving every minute of it. So how does a slob become a man who actually enjoys cleaning?
You are sexually motivated, Nicholas.
Oh, I love talking with you. All right. So how are the sissies different?
Listen, I've got my partner sat over here, and if I said to him, I asked him to do something, he'd be like, oh, boo, his. If I said to him, I'm going to suck his cock, he'd go do it. Or if I said, I'll tie you up and knock you up the arse, he'll go do it. It's all about motivation. Everything in life is about motivation, right? The jobs we do, the people we know, it's about motivation. We're talking within a sexual field. Some people could say it's not sexual motivation. Or it could be nurture motivation. In order for someone to go from a slob to doing stuff, you need motivation. What is it? True. What's your motivation?
So, one thing I wanted to ask is, the sissies, when they come to retreat, once they leave, how would you say they're different after they leave?
Okay, there is actually quite a common factor here. As everybody's very uniquely different with their needs, we are, as human beings, it's ubiquitous. There's a process that we go through, like sex. We'll all experience it when we vocalize it differently, but essentially, we're going through the same process biologically, neurologically when we have sex, or that process. It's like when we have anxiety, we can give it a different meaning, but the body, the adrenal glands, everything is still acting the same. So when people come along and play, they come to play for different reasons. So the sissies could come along to be a sissy, or someone could come along as latex, or whatever they come along as. But after they've had a successful session, how we deal with things and where we take people, so we go into TASC, which is temporary altered conscious states. When I bring them back out, which is almost a little bit like hypnotherapy, so we take them out of a deep space, which we could call subspace, and we take them up to another space. I then do, which is probably quite unusual, I do what I call a half an hour to maybe 40 minutes space with themselves. So we don't just end a session here or a therapy. We have a beautiful space with lights and ambient music for them to reflect on what's just happened. So when people leave our space, they are rebalanced, they feel free. And I would say on average, people say it's anything between 4 weeks to 3 months, they see the world differently. Their senses are heightened, their heart rate is lowered. I mean, I do put, so we used a little sort of like method of checking people's heart rates. So it's basically neuro and biofeedback. We do it on a very sort of like subtle level. So what people have come in at and what people are going out at, we've lowered the heart rate, we've lowered the blood pressure, the brain rate have changed. So if we put that into layman's terms, we're feeling pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And it lasts. And over 30 years, we're all saying the same thing. And when I play, I feel pretty fucking good for days after. I can get rid of migraines, I can get rid of back pains when I trip out. And I want to share that with the world because it's free drugs, man. It's free drugs.
Yeah.
And it's all about
All right. Misconceptions of sissy maid duties. So, do you get? I'm
Fine.
sure you get some people who were like, "I want to be your maid. I want to be your sissy maid. I want to do this. I want to do that." Um, do they have a misconception of what's expected of them, or what do they have a misconception?
Generalizing here. We're generalizing. I can't
Yeah.
answer generalized questions because everyone's so different. But if you want me to generalize,
Or even
misconceptions
specific details are great.
misconceptions of sissy maid duties. Oh God. Well, come on, we go back to the Mrs. Silk days. There was a certain way of training maids. Now there's another trade. You know, we've gone from sissy maids. We've actually gone from maid training to sissy maids. So there's a transition in this whole industry of
Interesting.
traditional maid training to now we're now sissy maids, and there's a lot of bisexuality, and so I'm going to be quite honest, I can't answer that because it's a
Okay.
massive, massive ask for me to answer that because it covers so many different things. So,
Well, has your
yeah,
attitude
can
towards
can we
sissification
move on?
changed
I
over the
think
years?
sissification, has your attitude towards sissification changed over the years? Mine hasn't. My attitude hasn't changed towards it, but I think everybody else's on the outside world has changed. It's shifting. It's having to expand. So
Yes.
sissification, if we go back, okay, let's go back pre my era. So let's go back 33 years. Let's go back again before that. And men were just wearing pants. They weren't being called sissies. It was enforced sterilization. Then we went into maid training, which was sort of the Mrs. Silk era. And then the specification has popped out with lots of chastity devices and then lots of girls dressing young men up and making them sort of suck cock. It's a massive change and shift with sissification.
Mm.
And I think men are quite willing to do it. I'm getting a huge influx of younger men wanting to do it because they can't cope with being a man. And it's
Yeah.
easier to go, I'm going to hand over control to you, and I kind of like it, and I'll find out about my sexuality more if I don't have to sort of to be a male right now. So I thought this is a bit of a delicate situation, this sissification, and my attitude towards it, because I'm researching it right now. There's some massive shifts with it, and it's being marketed very poorly as well. And we're giving some misinformation out there at the web, on the web right now, with sissification. So it's a delicate area, a little bit like the other one. I'm going to have to pin it up there because I don't think I can honestly give you the answers that you might want. I don't think I can give people the answers that I think they deserve right now. I think there's too much miscommunication with sissification, and I don't think the industry is representing it very well right now, and it's
Hmm.
confusing a lot of people with gender issues. So can we pin it up there because that's a real specialised topic?
Definitely.
You
I
agree with
think
that?
one of the things you do, which is I think is great, which shifts the tone of the narrative, so to speak, of sissification. A lot of the sissification that you seem to do is on a psychological. Of course, it's physical. Of course, it's physical. It has chastity and strap-ons and leather and garter belts and panties, all that stuff. But you have your approach to it is almost medical in a nurse, in a doctor loving motherly way, where you're not degrading and abusing, and so that adds a whole different dynamic to sissification. So it takes the you're a dirty slut that is useless, blah, 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 blah. Like, I mean, you do that too also, but like you could, I don't know, though, it's almost more empowering in the sense
Mm,
that, as
that's
opposed
right.
to taking, it's empowering when you take their power away from them and you take their masculinity
Mm.
away from them, they become empowered in a way. Does that make sense?
It's correct.
Okay.
You're spot on. Nicholas, that's very intuitive of you. That's exactly what I do. I facilitate where the client wants to go.
You mentioned Mrs. Silk.
Yes.
Now, she was a very huge influence to me, as what to me. Did you know her? Did you have any circles? She passed away.
Passed away a long time ago, and a lot of people sort of
Yeah.
still think she's but she's not. I think a lot of people, there's a person that keeps a website or some sort of clip site, I think, alive, or I might not be correct with that. But we were very blessed. We had her maid with us at Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Privilege. Well, actually, it was Cynthia Payne's maid as well. So I don't know if you're aware of Cynthia Payne and the very famous film.
No. Wait, Cynthia, wait, which
Cynthia,
film?
very, very famous English dominatrix, and they made a very great big film about her. So again, another topic for another day. But anyway, we had Cynthia Payne, and also she was also a maid for Mrs. Silk. So Jane was with us at Christmas, and it was the most amazing stories that she told us about this old-fashioned discipline of Mrs. Silk. And I think we've lost that now because a lot of the people that are promoting maid training or certification are all in direct competition with each other, and they're not actually taking the client's needs on board or where the mind is wanting to go. They're actually getting the person to fit into a framework as opposed to the framework fitting into the individual.
Oh, no. You need unity.
Where they're wanting to go. I think they're limited. I think most people are limited with where they're wanting to go with cross-dressing.
Mm.
They have to fit into what's out there as opposed to out there changing and listening to what people are needing right now. And Mrs. Silk at the time was listening to what people wanted and created a world based on what men needed then. Men need something now, but unfortunately, there's a breed of women dictating what they should have, and I think they're limiting men. I think
Interesting.
it's very naive, and I think there's a lot of people that are using this industry incorrectly and limiting where men need to go and could go. And they're not empowering men. I'm for empowering men because if we empower men and liberate men, we have better relationships and women have a much better life.
True. Let's have some fun. Sadism. What was the last? You've seen a lot. You've been around. You've been a little sadistic. You've seen some sadistic people. But what was the last time you've been impressed by sadism? Either yours or someone else's?
Mine will always be mine.
Oh no!
I'm
What'd you do?
I'm not impressed by anybody else other than myself because I'm always pushing my limits. So if I see someone else that I'm impressed with, I want to push it further. No, that's ego talking, you see. I give you an example of that. I'm not impressed by anything, Nicholas. I need to be inspired by something. I don't want to be impressed. I don't want something pushing into me. I want to be inspired.
I'm going to reword this question now because of you. It's great. I'm going to thank you. So let's talk about cuckolding. Cuckolding seems to be really popular these days, or more.
Yes.
You know,
Why
why do you think that is?
why is it, Nicholas? Why is it so popular, do you think?
Me, I think people need kink, and they're always trying to push it to another level. They're always, so the world's just getting kinkier, and especially with the internet and everything, people are connecting all over the world, and people are seeing that. Oh, look at that kink, and look, because of my show and stuff like that, that contributes to the whole, thing. So we're always pushing into the level. So I get it though. I get it. You know why? Because, for example, if I'm serving my queen, I want my queen to be happy. I want to serve my queen. I don't want to get in the way of my queen's pleasure, and I want to facilitate my queen's pleasure, make her as happy as possible. So I get that. And so in other words, it all comes to this sense that my pleasure is your pleasure. That if you're happy, I'm happy. So if you like this certain person and want to be with that person in front of me, yeah, let me watch. I get it. It's not a lifestyle that I live necessarily, but I get it. I understand it. Is that?
Have you been in that scenario yourself?
I've been in both sides of it. I don't want. I don't want to get. I've been in both sides. I've been
And
the.
what did you learn from it?
I
What did
like
you learn
being.
from the opposite sides, do you think?
What did I learn from it? I learned that I'm kinky. I learned that I accept the role. I love the fact that it's happening in the first place is a beautiful thing. It's consensual. As long as it's consensual, it's beautiful. Like in the book, The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself, Lynn, it's all true. She would bring in other women, and Lynn would be in the corner, and she won me, and you know me enough that I'm not like a mean guy, So I was like, this is like role playing for me. I had to caress this other woman while Lynn was in the corner, and I had to be like, this woman's a better lover than you. Look at her breasts, her tits are better than you. She's a better kisser than you. Like everything, but and it get to a point where we would laugh at Lynn in the corner while she was masturbating. She requested that all the time. She wanted that. She like that. This was her scenario. She wanted this, and this was her role play. So I get it. Like I understand that, and because she liked that, because she wanted that, I was all on board because it made her happy. It gave her pleasure. So that's like this. I guess the psychology of cuckolding is interesting. We do have a question here. Sissies, the end result. Now, you've been with many sissies. You've quote unquote forced feminized people. So what is the end result? Do you let them go do you let them be owned by other people? Do you keep them? Do you like, or they're typical for sissies, not just you, but the sissies that you know? How do they retire?
How do they retire, do you say?
Yeah. Like, what is the end? So for us, like, I love the sissy narrative. But where does it end? That's what I'm asking.
It's where they want it to end.
Okay.
It's where they want it to end. It can never be where I want it to end.
So we have control over this, as much as we like to give over other control to the queen or to our mistress or goddess or whatever. We ultimately have control.
I think this is where we have to be incredibly honest here. Somebody comes along to me and they know what I do and I know what they do. And then we make a decision to go and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And once we've done something else, we then come back to him being who he was and I being who I was. And then we drift into something else and then we decide, do we want to do it again? Do we want to do it better? Do we want to do it with someone else? True experience and to get high with it all is about not having any rules. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers it. I probably am on a different level maybe with all of this. I want people to explore. I don't want to define them by my roles because I don't have any roles because I'm constantly changing. So how can I define someone else with what the end is? I don't even know what my end is yet. I'm still
Well,
evolving.
we have some fan questions or some comments. PD says, "Greetings, goddess. I humbly bow down at your divine feet and thank you for blessing with your presence." Nikon says, "Hi, mistress. Great seeing you. I think all subs should kneel watching this interview, including Nicholas. What do you say, madam?"
Yes, Nicholas. Why are you still seated? Is the
Oh,
chastity
sorry.
device getting in the way?
Yeah, it kind of is sometimes. All right. All right. Baroness Slave says, "Thanks, Nicholas, for this wonderful interview. What advice would you give a slave who feels ashamed about his kinks?" This is a great question.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Thank you so much for sending that question in. That's probably one of the most valuable questions tonight. And yeah, how do you deal with shame, or you're ashamed? Ashamed is really the emergence of quite a few different things going on. It's lots of different emotions all pushing together. I want this, but I know I shouldn't do it. I want this, but I know I shouldn't do it. So it's these two things fighting against each other. What I would do is to maybe suggest, first of all, sit with what this bit is that you shouldn't be doing and why you shouldn't be doing it, and then start to look at what it is you want to do and how can you do it, what is it and what does it mean to you, is to separate those two contradicting parts of you and to understand those. It's not trying to suppress being ashamed, it's about facing it and understanding the components it's made of. I want to eat a bar of chocolate. I really want to eat that bar of chocolate, but I know if I eat that bar of chocolate, I'll get a migraine. I want, I can't have. I want, I can't have. So it's understanding those two parts and what value do you give those two parts. Do you want the migraine or do you want to have a different sort of chocolate? Understand what your shame comes from and go and talk to someone, either in the kink community or go and talk to a therapist or a talk therapist in the kink community. Understand who you are. Don't try and suppress shame and go and do something. It's going to keep popping up. Face it head on, break it down, talk to people, then move forward with what you've learned from that process.
DL Joey says, Madame C's videos are some of the best. Her sissy baby girls with diapers and plastic panties are my favorite. Thank you.
Thank you.
Holy,
yeah, I like plastic
Eric's
panties
turn.
as well.
I just clicked on this and it's live. Hello.
Yes,
Sunshine.
it's live. Yeah.
My queen says it's a great honor to see you today,
Hi,
Madam C.
sunshine. Keep on sunshining.
Oh, and getting into kink fandom as Nicholas's queen has given me more mental strength, confidence, and accountability. Feeling TPE responsibility for my sub makes me proud that I can give him what he needs.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Yeah. Yeah. It's very supportive working with people and sharing things together. That's right.
And
Yeah.
that she
When
continues.
people feel listened to, they relax and open up. They do. In this, I think, again, kink, people think of it as sharp and nasty and violent. It's love. We are connecting with people from the most intimate part of themselves. We're meeting people from the inside out. It's so important. It's the best way to connect with people. It really is. With the right people. Yeah.
Oh yes, PD. Oh, PD. Thank you for creating this show. Thank you, PD. Oh, thank you very much. But he also continues, says some of the things you have said has literally given me goosebumps, Madame C. The world is a better place if we would just shut the fuck up. Thank you very much.
I don't know that I should have sworn. I'm sorry, Nicholas. I think I used the F word twice. So
It's okay. It's okay. We put it on Spotify. It's okay. Now, Madame C, a friend of a show, Stan Vladimir, who does all the art, who helps, does like executive produce the show. He asked specifically to ask the Stan question for you, so he's going to be on the show right now. Stan Vladimir. This is Madame C. Madame C. This is Stan Vladimir. He'd just like to say a few words and maybe ask the Stan question.
Hello. First of all, it's an honor to meet you. I'm a huge fan of your work. I've known you since if I'm correct, from 2009. And through you, I managed to find Nicholas. And I'm here right now, which is an honor to me.
Hi, Stan. Lovely to talk to you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is there a
Okay.
question you wanted to ask me?
Yes. If you could have any superpower, what would it be, and how would you use it in your kink life?
Okay, that's a really big question. Okay, so if I had a superpower, okay,
It could be anything.
and if I could use it in my kink life, is to allow people to let go of fear and embrace being true to themselves. Does that help?
100%.
100%.
Also,
Thank you, Stan.
One more thing I
Thanks,
want to
Stan.
ask: how would you help someone to find the courage to, let's say, for example, at the beginning I had some difficulty setting in with my kinks with my partner, and like even though when I was in the session, I felt like the entire time I was like, is she actually enjoying this? I'm having sometimes difficulty getting into the subspace, even though outside it's all in my head, but when it's happening, it's sometimes difficult. Like, oh, it's actually happening, and it's sometimes difficult. If she, and if she's like, she always sometimes says, "Oh, it was great," but in deep down, and sometimes in my head, I'm like, is she actually telling me the truth, or just because to make everyone feel happy at the end?
Okay, so what you're saying to me, Stan, is that you've got a lovely partner that you're playing with, and she's telling you that she's really enjoying herself, but even though you're with this person and she's given you all that time for you to play with her, you're suggesting to me that your mind might be saying that I don't think that she's really enjoying it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that. Like, I do have sometimes this feeling that people are saying that, oh, it was great, but in reality, well, it wasn't exactly it. So I'm just gonna say being positive, but I just want the brutal honesty. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
always want. Like,
What
even
would they need? Yeah, Stan, can I ask you a question if that's all
yes,
right? Is
yes,
that okay?
yes, of course.
What would they need to say to you, or what would they need to do for you to feel it was all okay?
Oh, that's the difficult thing. Even I don't know that. Like, that's something that I've been having difficulty, like, of trying to know how do I 100% guarantee that they're telling me the honest truth. And
So is there anything in your life other than kink that you do? So is there anything in life, at the moment you've got sound engineering, you've got how do you know that you're doing a good job at the moment?
this what you're seeing here is something I did.
Sorry, what's that?
Masks.
Can I have a look at that? Is that all right? Can I see, Nicholas, is that all right if I
Oh,
see
yeah,
what
yeah,
that is?
of course, yes, yes, of course. This is I made this. I also do cosplay. I've done some artworks as well, and this is the alien from the chest burster from the Alien movie. I'm a huge fan of the Alien movies. Huge inspiration.
Did you make that?
Yeah.
How did you make that? That is incredible.
I made it from using clay foam. I basically yeah, it's a specific material for cosplay.
Again, Stan, can I just have a look at it?
Yeah, yeah.
I am so impressed.
I
What
can
is
show
it
you one.
made of, Stan?
1 second. I'll bring it. um, it's made out of this material. It's called clay foam. It's mostly used for cosplay.
Oh,
Yeah, and the best part is, so you need to have some kind of material to put it. Let's say you have to use a something to make a form, like tin foil, something like this. Wait, where's my camera? Okay, here, something like
yes,
this.
yes.
And then you can apply it in it, and you can add, and you can use instruments to make details with it. Like, and the
Good God,
cool thing
that's
is, it's
incredible.
literally like clay. It's almost like a gum, and you leave it to dry, and it's hardened. It's almost like rubber. But in order
Mhm.
for you to actually um to make it so you can paint it, you have to use also a specific thing to cover it so you can actually paint it.
Good God, it's incredible. That is such a passion that you must have for doing that.
Like, one of my dreams is I always wanted to make movie monsters, like from films. I grew up
Mm,
watching films like Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Aliens,
yes,
and seeing the special effects. I'm like, how did they do that? And I'm like
yes.
amazed every time.
Well,
I
a
don't
lot
want to show
of
one.
the film, a lot of the filming that Madame C does, do you use tricks? Let me ask you this: do you use tricks in some of the editing and film,
And
that you
this
use,
is my
Madame C?
masterpiece.
Yeah.
All right, let's move the interview along.
Sorry,
Stan. Thanks a lot.
Just
It's all right.
What's so beautiful, Nicholas? What is so beautiful about this is human nature that shines
Of
through.
course.
And we come on to do one thing, okay? So we're doing an interview about kink, and what I think is so special, and this is why I love doing the sissies, and this is why I love talking to you, Nicholas, is the beautiful elements of human nature that comes out.
Yeah.
And I think, Stan, please reach out to me because I would love to help with you. It's not about money. Please reach out to me if you want to chat with maybe how you can experience your sessions a little bit more. Please just email me. Nicholas has got my details. And even if we just do 20 minutes on the phone, let me help you with experiencing your sessions a little bit more.
Thank you very much.
Is that all right?
One last thing I want to. Yes, of course, of course. One I actually wanted to say. This is all I will say. I wanted to say off stream, but I'm gonna say it now. I would love to have with you and Nick a session where we just watch a movie. I would like a specific movie that I would like.
We'll do that. Okay, Nicholas, pin that on the diary. We're going to do that. We're all going to connect and we'll watch a movie. And I think this is really important for everybody else out there. Connection. And this is what's just happened tonight. Isn't that right, Nicholas?
Definitely. Stan Vladimir is he's a force. He's a creative force for your kinky friends. He does all the artwork.
I just made a new friend.
And a great guy. And anyone out there,
I want
kinky,
to connect outside of this.
Be good to Stan. I want to talk about chastity.
Yes.
Chastity. Do you have anyone in chastity locked right now?
Mentally and physically, yes. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's such a beautiful, it's a great tool, again, handled correctly. And it can be done in many ways. You don't just have to buy chastity devices. You can just tie something around cock and balls. You can talk about it. You can do mental chastity, physical chastity. There are so many different ways of doing it. And it's really empowering for women as well, because you can control your male. So it's from a female's point of perspective, you can have some great games, but also from the male perspective, you can find out a lot about yourself. Not being able to do what you want to do. What's it like when those little sticky fingers are taken away from that sticky cock? I get a little bit excited, right? So I love it, Nicholas. I absolutely love it because you can put it into so many different scenarios, and it doesn't always have to be with the actual chastity devices itself. You can put it with sissies, you can do it in any form of play, but you can actually take it out of the kink community and you can actually just suggest to your partner, no more. You can just wear a pair of my pants, or I can just tie a pair of my stockings around your cock and balls and go to work, and it's not going to come off, and I'm going to tie it a certain way so that when you do come home from work, I can see if it's been taken off. You don't touch it. It's not just chastity play, it's orgasm denial.
Yeah.
Take something away and you want it more.
Here's a question that all the fans ask. What are some fun ways to deny an orgasm over the phone? Or let's say virtually. Let's say virtually. Put the phone down.
Yeah, Nicholas.
It's a good one. And I asked this before. Right. I asked this before, but
silicon or metal.
Yes.
All of them. It depends what works for the cock, but also if you want to sort of like cause a little bit of discomfort, use all of them. Try them all. Don't just stick to one thing.
Now, do you have any interesting chastity stories?
Oh my God, I've got quite a lot. So let's just stick to one.
Okay. We can do a whole episode just for that.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I said we could do a whole episode just for that.
The worst one was when the lock went rusty and managed to weld itself to a very cheap chastity device. That was disastrous because it literally, even the bolt croppers didn't work on that. So that was a story from many, many years ago. Then you get the stories where it's been physically not so good and somebody will phone up and go, mistress, my penis is so swollen and it's caused an abrasion. Then you get somebody that's popped out of it. Then you get somebody that goes, it's not what I thought it was going to be. Can I come around? And you go, no.
No.
There's so many of them. There's so many of them. And then you've got remote chastity, so electric device chastity is really good. And then you've got all these amazing devices that you can have as chastity devices, then anal plugs and remote control apps. They're really good fun. And then you've just got mental chastity. So sometimes you can just be phoning in on people and they've got to report to you and they've got to tell you a story or write you a story of what they've done. And then that facilitates they can become whatever they want to become, which is really empowering because you find out more about them. So when you limit them with what you want them to do, they only have to do what you want them to do. But when you give them the opportunity to tell you what they're doing without a chastity device, you find out more about them and you get them to report in or on a daily basis or a weekly basis. So there's loads of different games for chastity. So many, it's endless. You don't need a chastity device. You just need a wicked brain.
You know, it's funny that Mr. Shari, very good friend of mine, she says the most powerful sentence in the English language is no.
Which is why I said put the phone down, which is the same as no.
All right, let's get back to. Okay, so I want to kind of wind things up, but okay, we did orgasm denial, gin cactus, or BDSM lifestyle. Now, without giving too much away,
are you currently living a BDSM lifestyle?
I ask this to everybody.
Life?
We have to ask this. Yeah.
No, of course not.
Of course, right. Yeah. So what is?
I just do it.
Yes. So in other words, what is the lifestyle? What is the situation you have?
My partner and I had this conversation today. We actually had a conversation outside of doing this interview tonight. We actually had a conversation, and I don't live a lifestyle. I choose, and he chooses when it's convenient for us, or when we use it as a tool.
Okay.
And then sometimes if we don't use it as a tool, one might go, oh, I feel a bit like this. And then it kind of just happens.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have another time where we go, oh, we're going to plan something next week. Let's plan it. We do it different ways. It's available to us all the time when it works for both of us. That's the answer. And then we may have, at the moment, we're in the middle of moving and God knows what else. We have to actually literally put it on a shelf because we've got a lot of other shit to get done. So we've got to go, we really want to do this, but we're going to have to do that another day because we've got to do this. So we use it as a tool, and we also understand that there's other parts of our life that are really important that we need to prioritize. And that the hardcore kink, the real one, I say dressing up and doing stuff in a studio, that's got to be planned. And then we have what we call just like little kinks. So I could just say to him, oh, I'm going to do this to you later on. He gets turned on or I get turned on by it. So I use little mini bits. So it's there all the time, Nicholas. But it's what dial is it at? Is it at 1? Is it at -1? Are we turning it to 10? The dials change depending on what our main life is doing. Would you say that? Yeah, I'm looking at him over there and he's going, anything you say, I'll agree. No, it's not true. It's a two-way thing.
Please forgive me if I asked this on the last show, but I was like a different person as before the liver but
yeah,
I want to know this. Your very first professional session. What was it like, and what lessons did you learn?
What did I learn? What didn't I learn? Oh my God, my first professional session was hysterical. I was so young. I was so naive. And I was in this little fantasy world of what it was all about. And then reality, so this is a professional point of view, so I'm going to separate personal life to professional. It's very different. So the very first person I saw, I was in my world of how it should all be. And then someone came along for 30 minutes. I want this, and this. And I was like, but I'm in a floaty dominatrix world. And I've got my candles going and my music going and my big eyes and my long flappy hair and my boots and all this amazing stuff I've bought. I'm going to trip off and do this. And he's like, well, I've only got 30 minutes. I'll put the money on the side. And if you can put a bit of strap onto my nipples and tie me up. I'm like, that's not my narrative. But you're paying me to do it. So I suppose I've got to do it and try and integrate a bit of me into that. And he seemed to have a really good time, but I suddenly understood the importance of I've got one story going, the client has another story going. How am I? My message is clearly not coming across, and 30 minutes isn't enough, and we needed to have a lot of chat before we did that 30-minute session. So what I learned out of that, find out who you're playing with, what they want, find out who you are and what you want, and are you compatible? Talk beforehand, understand, know, what are both of your expectations? Because we were on different books. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
on different books. I learned pretty damn quickly. Talk to people, find out, understand, compatibility. What are your needs? What are my needs? How can we work together? Biggest learning curve ever. Yeah, I was in a
Now,
little la la land, thinking what it was going to be. I had a couple of little toys, but oh God, Nicholas, it was just fantastic. He gave me the best. I know who he is. He taught me the most. And then another client he had shortly afterwards, he was on my level, and the 30 minutes went into 3 hours. We just tripped out because we were on the same page. Talk to people beforehand. Research your clients. Clients research the people you're going to see. If they don't want to do the research, don't want to talk to you, don't go play with them. Simple as that. Yeah. Does that help?
it does. What was the last dream you remember?
Oh gosh, it's a good one. It's a good one. And I actually shared it with my partner this morning when I woke up. It was a really weird dream. I was in a room and I was folding up carpets. And I don't know why I was folding up carpets, but the dream the night before was a lot better. And I don't think I can share it with you because it was very
So,
exciting.
oh, okay. So let's talk about role play. One thing's, I mean, I love role play, but you're always evolving. You're always taking it to like another level. So what are some new and interesting role play ideas that are inspiring you?
That's a really good question, Nicholas. Again, you do ask some amazing questions. What are some new and interesting role play ideas? It's basically I've stepped back out of the dungeon and I've gone back into the domestic. And I've come back into the true me. And what I'm doing now is stepping out of role play and being a little bit more challenging and authentic with people. And people that are wanting one thing and they turn up, I've actually shocked them. I had a guy that's been seeing me for about 10 years into rubber, and he wants, he always dresses up as rubber and he plays the rubber. So anyway, he sort of like, he turned up, just I think it was about, it's been December, beginning of December, and I didn't put him into rubber. And I was true to myself, and I'm like, I don't want to do rubber anymore. You're going to be naked. That was shocking for him, and I got a real true reaction because he was expecting one thing and got something else, and then I bounced off him and got something else. We went to another level because we stepped outside of what we normally do. I stepped out of the role I was for him. He stepped out of the role that he'd become for me and thought he was only able to do, and we went to another. We shifted.
That's
And he's
what's
like, "Can we do that
beauty
again?"
of
I'm like,
kink.
"No." So it's just pushing the boundaries all the time. Stop doing the same stuff.
Yes, yes. So another question: latex or rubber? If you had to choose.
Isn't it the same stuff?
Well, yeah. That's what someone
Rubber
asked.
latex
So,
and the same stuff.
or they have,
But I
yeah.
like both. It's all the same kind of stuff. I think we use different words for it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe in America it's different.
PD asked this question. I knew this was coming. What are some of the most humiliating and degrading things you have done to a sub slave?
Oh, I don't think we're going to say that live, can we? Ha, wicked laugh. Get on to the next question. Email me privately and I may tell you.
Okay. We're winding it down. So I want to do the word association game. Okay. Well, first of all, before we do that, rapid fire recommendations. They don't have to be kink related. So they don't have to be the be all end all. You're going to recommend media. So first, recommend the film.
What was that film that we watched? 3 billboards outside of Missouri.
Missouri. Yeah.
You know the one I mean? You know the one I mean? I really
Yeah,
like that.
they
I
have
really like
Rockwell's
that.
in
A
that.
lot of messages going on. I like deep
Yeah,
messages, metaphors.
that's a
Yeah.
very entertaining movie. Wow, that's a good, yeah. Three billboards outside of Bisbee, I think it is. All right, recommend a song.
Recommend a song. Okay. Oh my God, I hate it when people do this because there's so many songs.
Any
Okay,
song.
Songbird, Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, nice. Recommend a book.
Okay, recommended book. Well, I did actually say *Sapiens* by Noah Harari. So I would suggest *Sapiens* is a really good book. But I'm reading so many books. I'm just a bookworm. I could grab them normally, but okay, let's get to this. *Grey's Anatomy*, and it'll take a whole
Grey's Anatomy.
lifetime. Yeah,
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 that goes out to you, Sunshine. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Recommend. All right, we did a song. We did a book. Recommend a meal.
Indian takeaway every single time.
Every single time.
Um, and then wrap it all up in a Peshwari naan. Great.
Okay.
And get
So,
someone to feed it to you and then lick your lips clean afterwards.
now can you splosh with Indian food?
Sorry?
Can you splosh with Indian food?
Can I splosh with a what?
Indian food.
I don't know, but there's a first time for everything, Nicholas, isn't there?
There is.
So
That's the
maybe
spirit.
I'll start splashing with my Indian. Depends what bit of I could splosh it on myself and get someone to lick it off. But I don't know that I want spicy in between my legs.
Okay, we got the word association game next. Rapid fire recommendations. We did, but word association game. I'm going to say a kink or a phrase. You say the first thing that pops into your head. Okay.
Right.
There's no wrong answer. The only thing is we don't kink shame, so just don't make fun of it. So just say not my thing if it's not your thing. Okay. And then there's a jar. I don't know what's in this jar. Sunshine wrote a bunch of things, put it in this jar. So we're on the same page here. This is improv. I don't know what's happening next either. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. Let's start. First word or phrase that comes to your head. Chastity.
Come.
Locking heels.
Biking.
Inflatable butt plugs.
Stretch.
Stretch. Sploshing.
Lick.
Rope.
More rope.
More rope. Scarification.
Eat.
Wax play.
Dinner.
Yeah, okay. Here, we'll go into the jar. Oh, army fatigues.
Army fatigues.
Yeah.
Kate Bush.
And whipping.
Spanking.
Okay. Fine, we're reaching the end. Piss.
Drink.
Scat. We reached the end.
No.
All right. So fine, I want to keep it positive. This is a very positive show. So we're winding it down with some positivity. How can the kink community as a whole make the world better?
Okay, that's another great question. Just give me one moment because I want to think about that. I don't want to just fire back an answer. What can the kink community do as a whole to make the world a better place? I think the kink communities can come together as a whole. I think first of all they need to unite because I think the kink community at the moment is starting to separate a little bit with gender and with what people are doing, what they're not doing. I think if we unite and show that we're united and we're not fragmenting, and how we are all being non-judgmental by being non-fragmenting, that hopefully that might reflect out to the world that we're all meeting each other from the most intimate part and accepting each other as from the most intimate part. And that's what we need to do on a global level right now. I think we've got a lot to answer for, and I think we can be a shining light. But I think it's now that we need to just all unite and go, we're all doing the same thing, which is why I want to put the science behind this. Doesn't matter if you're a sissy, doesn't matter if you're wearing latex, doesn't matter if you're a naked slave, it doesn't matter if you just want to sit there and think about it. We're all coming from the most intimate part of being a human being. We're doing it together. And that's what we need to do globally. And I would really love for us all to reflect that right now. We're all exactly the same. And the kink community is a result of people coming together to be the same, non-judgmentally. So that's maybe the message we could put out to the world. What do you reckon?
Madame C. One thing I want to end it with this, with a daily affirmation. I see a bunch of kinky people do that. So shout out to Genevieve, Mistress Genevieve out of New Orleans. I tell myself like a daily affirmation. They're not religious at all, just things to keep me going. Kinky people need it. We deal with anxiety a lot, all the time. I tell myself problems are solvable. That's one thing I tell myself all the time. So I wanted this show, I want something at least to have a positive message. And Madame C, you've been an inspiration to me all of these years. And all these people love you for a reason, for who you are. It's something to be proud of. But I'm sure you tell yourself certain things to keep you going. Do you have a daily affirmation that we could tell ourselves as a kink community, as listeners?
Absolutely. It's just two simple words. Every day I wake up and I go, thank you. It's that simple. Thank you. And then I apply that word to everything. Thank you for these. Thank you for this. In, out. Thank you for that. Thank you for what I'm looking through. Thank you for being here, because I don't actually know what we are just yet. I'm not too sure what we are. And thank you for the experience that I've had today. It's those two words, thank you. It's gratitude. And when you actually apply gratitude to every single thing in your life, you suddenly realize how massive it is. It's absolutely huge. Two words, thank you. Gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam C. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How can people get in touch with you, contact you, help you, or support you, or
absolutely. I mean, we, I'm a real sort of like transparent person, and we've got a YouTube channel, and we're wanting to put as much information out there right now to support people. I think there's some huge mental health issues out there, and I think, as you so rightly said, we've got a lot of anxiety. People are lost. There's a lot of confusion. We've started with the YouTube MC. I think it's an MC Kink Coach. I think it is, isn't it? That's on YouTube. And we've only just started with it, but we are going to be in February adding more and more and more. The more you can give me, the more emails or the more questions I get that I can answer, because not everybody is able to. I can't answer everybody, but what I can do is collectively answer people's questions, because a lot of people go shame or anxiety, or how do I experience this, or how do I experience that? And what I'm doing is I'm putting it all into different sections, and within those sections is to cover topics that will answer lots of people's questions. But without you, I can't help the world.
Yeah, you're
doing it. Without people reaching out to me, I can't help everyone. I am here. MC Coach is out there. I don't want any money for it. I want to put information, scientific information, that you can choose to use, so that when you're sitting there feeling whatever, I want people to connect, and I want you to have a voice that helps you through life. I've dealt with people, tens of thousands of people, and the one thing they needed was to hear a voice to go, it's okay to feel that. It's okay. And the YouTube channel is what we're working to do, is to connect people and to help. and it will develop, but it needs people to reach out and say, what do you want help with? What are you struggling with right now? You can email me, which is the info@madam-c.co.uk, but that will be changing and morphing. We're trying to make it a little bit more transparent. We're trying to open source everything, so it's free. Not enough information out there for what's going on right now. That's my job. So help me make my job be better by contacting us with what you want to hear and what you want information about, Nicholas. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of the kink community. Thank you for being a force in the car, an inspiring force. Madam C, it's been an absolute honor to have you on my show.
Well, likewise, thank you so much for having me, because you're doing an amazing job. So thank you, Nicholas, and thank you for your team. I can't thank you enough. It's wonderful. Thank you.
It's a new year. It's a new life for many of us. So lock yourself up. Get 50% off all inventory. Locked in Lust with offer code YKF. But read, please. Read a book. Read a book. Even if just read it to read it. It's good. Exercise your mind. Your kinky friends.
Yes, your kinky friends. You've got to read it. And again, the
coolest way to kill yourself.
People, but it's just a great way to connect.
And support the kink art community. We're having an author circle, the third author circle show of all kinky authors who've been on this show. We come together and we talk kink and books and everything like that.
That's really, really interesting. I'd love to be a part of that, Nicholas. That's really interesting.
Come on,
yeah.
It's next week. Casby, the dominatrix Casby from the UK will be on the show. We have a male dom, Sir Ezra from Sanctuary LAX coming out. We have a good time. And thank you, the listener, the viewer. I'm around. Go to yourkinkyfriends.com, Spotify, Patreon, YKF, patreon.com/YKF. We do this for the love. I do this for the love. You don't see me. I'm not rich, right? I need healthcare. Right? I do this for the love. So that means it means something. Go out there, please. It's a new year. Be positive, be kinky, be cool, be kind, keep an open mind. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.